Great.
Hi,
Shall we just
Celia.
wait for a couple of more minutes and then we start? I
Sure,
think people will keep coming in, and we can start maybe in just 2 more minutes.
Sure. Hi, Celia. Have you done your headstand for the morning? Celia, can you hear me? We can't hear you, Celia, if you're speaking. I know, Celia, that's why I'm... Okay, while we wait for Celia to get her audio fixed, we have...
Hello, if I can add to what Arkadeep said.
yes, please.
So basically, one more thing which came into picture these days is, in corporate specifically, when we cross the country borders and we go into the regional or global role, the competition becomes more narrow and narrow. And at that time, you see if some people are handling a similar portfolio. As far as capabilities are concerned or domain knowledge is concerned, there is very little gap is there between the people to people, because they are already expert in their field. So at that time, I think the personal branding or your personal how you present yourself becomes more important to get an edge over that. And this is what I've experienced in past couple of years, specifically when I moved into the global role. So this is also becoming important these days.
Great. Thanks for that, Ritesh.
Hi, Celia. You got your video on. I can see you now. Can you hear me?
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, you can.
Sorry, the usual technology. Nice to see you here. I don't know everyone, but I'm always pleased to join some event that Kumar is involved, and I'm very excited about it, see what's coming out of it. As someone was saying, and I apologize, I lost the name, but it's not always about only the work we put in, it's also about the connections and how we talk to people and how we present ourselves and how we come across to others. So I think this is a very useful topic. So thank you all for putting this free online. It's very, very excited to be here.
Thank you, Celia, and great to see you again. And I was asking, did you do your headstand for the morning?
Not this morning, no. I need to keep practicing.
Nice to see you here, Celia. I think it's about 6:36. I think we can officially begin, and we're expecting a few more people. They can keep joining in. So a very good evening to all of you.
Sorry, just before you start, it's the chat. I get a message saying that the chat is disabled.
The chat is disabled. Okay, just a minute. It's not disabled. Allow participants to chat. Okay.
Now it's fine. Now come back.
Now it's fine. All right.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Sure. Okay, so a very good evening to all of you. I'm Sangeeta Deshpande. I'm the founder of this organization called Storyweavers, where we believe that storytelling is a superpower, and how you do your personal branding may be quite related to it. And with me, I have two very experienced people who have been helping others out with their personal branding, with their corporate branding. And it's my pleasure to introduce them to you. Let me begin with Subbalakshmi Narasimhan. Let's call her Subba. And she is the founder of SLN Brand Studio. She mostly coaches, mentors, and helps solopreneurs, founders, SMEs, mid-managers, and many other people to bring up their branding, to up their game. And she has a lot of programs that are constantly going on, which have to do with branding. I think she can tell us a bit more about that. Would you, Subha?
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, Sangeeta, for inviting me here on this platform, because I've attended a couple of your other sessions as well. It's been beautifully organized. That is something that I must acknowledge before talking about myself. Yeah, so definitely. See, personal branding, yes, definitely we are going to talk more about it. Whatever be my programs, be it for one-on-one or for a group or for corporate, be it leadership building or mid-management level growth, or for founders, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, personal branding will take a key element in my programs, right? Because that is something, as Arkadeep mentioned, that is going to be the game changer, right? Whatever be our goal, personal branding is going to be, it is the game changer. Definitely, there are so many programs which are coming up. I would love to connect with all of you on LinkedIn and then, help you all in whichever way I can. Thank you so much.
That's fabulous. And now let me introduce you to Kumar. Kumar is someone with about 31 years in human resources. I'm just amazed at the sheer number. I don't think I have done anything consistently for 31 years except like brushing my teeth or eating or combing my hair. So it's like kudos to you for having stayed put. And not just that, I think he is quite an effective mentor, I would say. I have done, a training prior to this with Kumar, and I found him a very, very effective coach. He spent his last decade with BP, and I think about 5 years here in Singapore.
That's right.
Or yeah, and he has been doing leadership training with them as well. So I cannot expect, any better duo than these two to help you guys know more about personal branding, clear your doubts, and also take you through some activities. Kumar, would you like to add something to whatever I have said? I hope I haven't missed out on any important detail.
Absolutely perfect, Sangeeta. And I think I really enjoyed the session that we ran earlier. And I think for me, what gives me real pleasure is when I can see that I'm able to help somebody realize their own potential and be the best version of themselves. And I think personal branding is a little bit about that. It's helping you project your image the way you'd like to be seen by others. And I have a small definition for personal branding. It's the intersection of how you want others to see you and how others actually see you. So it's like a Venn diagram, and therefore it's up to you how you manage your personal brand. And I really get a lot of pleasure in helping people through and coaching them through their own personal journeys. I'm looking forward to the session. We have a cozy audience here today. I can see another familiar name, Ananya from India as well. I'm hoping that we have a good conversation today and learn something from each other as well.
Fabulous. So before we begin, there is a small quiz that we'd like all of you to take. And let me just share my screen. I will just put the link in the chat. It's a Mentimeter. So you can just click on it and you can just, respond to this one. I will just start it. Okay. So I hope that all of you can see my screen. All right. Can you guys go through this one? How do you rate your awareness about personal branding? Either you're unaware or not so aware, neutral, but you'd like to know more, and you are well aware and you think you have a personal brand. Okay. So are we done yet, or do we still have a few people who are? So I still don't see any experts on personal branding yet, or are people just playing it safe? Shall we go to the next question? So I think the vast majority say that they know, they're aware that there is personal branding, but they'd like to know more about it. Okay. So here's the next one. You can feel free to type in, your responses. What brings you here today, and what are you hoping to gain from this session, so that our speakers here know how they can help you best today?
Come on, guys. Fastest fingers first on the keyboard. Be great to see. Yeah.
Okay, tools to better create my own brand, develop my awareness of what it is and how to use it. That's a good one.
Great.
Rediscover myself and find the right choices. Okay, better develop image in front in order to fast track my career growth. Great. To be able to keep upgrading, as what worked yesterday may not work today. It's an agile world, and so we need to keep evolving. Know how to create the right brand on LinkedIn. Any more answers coming up? Okay, I think personal branding is important, and in near future, I would like to start with my own organization. So I think it's important for me. Fabulous. Insights on personal brandings to self-evaluate where I am and where I can be in terms of personal branding. Great. The key points in personal branding, how to start it and how to continue working on it. Great. So I guess more or less, Subha and Kumar, do we have an understanding of what they are looking for?
Fantastic. Thank you, Sangeeta. This helps a lot, actually. You know, the expectation, once we understand the audience expectation, it will be easier for us to navigate the thought processes towards that. Because personal branding is a broad subject. We can go on and on and on, talking about it.
Right. Okay, great. So now, can I invite somebody from the audience members to, give us your definition of personal branding? I think Kumar has already spilled the beans a bit, by giving you one sentence. But what is it that you think? Please feel free to turn on your cameras, unmute yourselves, and talk to us, because this is an interactive session, and it will really benefit if you interact more. So let's hear it from you guys. Okay, sorry, Celia, we can't hear you. Are you muted? No, we can't hear you. Or would you like to type it on chat if we can't hear you?
Might want to check your microphone, Celia, because you're unmuted, but we can't hear you. Still can't hear you. You can just see your lips moving.
You may want to use the computer audio, computer mic. No?
So in the meanwhile, how about the others? Wait, let me try to mute her and unmute her.
Ritesh, are you talking?
Yeah, actually, I just unmuted myself. So, as far as my understanding is concerned, basically, it's all about influencing the perception of others about you, how they see you, and how you want them to see you. So basically, it's all about influencing the perception, as far as my understanding is concerned.
Good, great one.
Great. Anybody else who would like to try? What do you think is personal branding?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Sorry for all the mess. I think I agree. It's in my idea. I thought it was interesting what Kumar shared about the intersection, because for me, it was how others perceive you. And it might be that you're something in your workplace or your friends' branding or whatever it is, kind of how you expect others to see you. That's how I would define it.
Great. So I think, Kumar, would you like to take it off from here?
Sure. I just want to check. I can see Ananya's typed into chat saying she's going to rejoin as video.
Yes, she's going to rejoin.
But so while she rejoins, and I want to check. We haven't heard Chetna and Abha's voice. If you want to just unmute quickly and say hello. Making sure that we can hear you as well.
Hi, good evening.
Hi,
This is
Abha.
Abha. Yeah, hi.
Good evening, Abha.
Yeah, good evening, Sabha. Good evening, Kumar.
And Chetna, you want to say hello to all of us? Okay, maybe the audio is not working. So great.
Yeah.
It was great to hear from all of you in terms of what you're looking forward to. And I think between Sangeeta, Shubha, and I, we hopefully will be able to provide you some clarity in terms of what a personal brand is. And I realized I deviated from the script, and like Sangeeta said, I spilled the beans a little bit by giving you a definition and sort of steering the discussion. But personal branding is at the intersection of how you want others to see you and how others actually see you. So a lot of you have said that you're unaware of your, what 29% of you said that you're unaware of what your personal brand is. The fact is that all of you already have a personal brand. It's what you project about yourself today and how others see you, whether at work, at home, or outside. And I want to tell you a little story, and then and the idea is to sort of talk to you about how a personal brand is always something that's visible and noticed at all points of time. So this happened to me in Mumbai, and I was driving to office, and I was a bit late. There was heavy, like Mumbai streets are always there, heavy traffic. And then there's a car came around to the side, sort of driving a bit rashly. And the guy then, and I managed to look at him, see his face as he was beside of me. And then when the traffic cleared a little bit in front of me, he made a sharp cut and jumped into my lane ahead. And I cursed him, and first natural reaction is to race a little bit, to honk and sort of express your anger. I decided to let it go, but then I could see that he was cutting lanes and seemed to be in a real rush. And I was thinking that this is a guy who's going to probably have an accident soon if he doesn't look after himself. A little while later, I reached my office, parked the car in the basement, and got into the elevator. And lo and behold, it was the same gentleman in the elevator. I recognized his face from when he is sort of driving rashly next to me. And then we got off the elevator on the same floor, and he walked into the reception, and I held back a little because I met a colleague and we spoke for a minute. And as I got to the reception, I heard him say, "I'm here for an interview with Mr. Kumar." I'm going to pause there and just ask all of you to react to that story in terms of saying, now, how do you think that interview is going to go now? And what impressions, what might be racing through my mind? What personal brand has this person created by driving to the office to an interview and by misfortune having me driving next to him on the way?
That is unfortunate, but I think it creates a bit of bias about how the person reacts. I don't know, it might be from not getting prepared enough. He didn't get to be there on time, so he was rushing, he was putting his and others' safety at risk. So I think it creates a bit of bias towards that person, which might not even be his normal sort of person.
Absolutely. So a bias did get created.
Yeah, but there's another angle to this, that you can also think that look how committed that this person is, that he's risking his life and trying to reach the interview on time, so that he's trying to create a good impression. Look how hard he's trying. Some person maybe not you, but somebody else may think like this also, that
Sure.
that his commitment level is very high.
Great. How about any others? Do we have any other viewpoints? Is there like any third insight?
With my personal experience, I feel safety is more important. Even if you're late, it is okay. You can go ahead, give your interview as it goes by. That's what is my opinion.
Great. Anyone else?
I would like to add my 2 cents. I think that first impression is really very important. So if I was to be an interviewer, and if an interviewee would come to me, definitely I would go by the first impression, that if the person is late, really how much seriously would the person, be in the work as well? I mean, I would like to see someone who's thrifty. Yeah.
I would agree to Chetna. The thing is, obviously, first impression is the last impression. So, having said that, I believe that once the interview goes, it is right for the interviewer to also judge the person in order to understand how well he is prepared for the interview. Secondly, we also need to understand, I mean, he needs to be prepared, obviously, but then we could just understand from him and maybe, what was the reason for being so late? Because rash driving and safety is not, I mean, safety is more important. So this driving, it could cause harm to himself and others. So I think everything should be considered, and maybe if I was an interviewer, I would have seen through all the aspects. Thank you.
Thank you. So I got lots of views there. And let me tell you how that story ended. So he did really well in the interview, but I'll admit I was biased because we're talking about a company at that time, BP, which is very safety conscious, and driving safety is very important. And he's applying for a line role as a team leader, and he expects to be a role model. So I couldn't help but towards the end of the interview saying that I saw you on the road driving rashly. Maybe it was stepping out and bringing a personal bias, but I thought it was important to clarify what really happened here. And I asked, and I said, do you realize that you left me with an impression that you are an unsafe driver and putting yourself and others at risk as well? And he said, but I first and foremost, I apologize for that. It wasn't intentional. But I received an email this morning asking me to come 20 minutes earlier for the interview. Apparently your schedule changed. And this is something that I was not aware of, but apparently the recruiting team had rescheduled the interview to 20 minutes early. And therefore he had to rush. So it was partly the company's fault. And he said, I replied back saying it'd be very difficult for me to get 20 minutes earlier, but I'll try my best and get there. And I did verify and saying, yes, there was such an email. He said, unfortunately, your email didn't have any contact number other than a call to say that could we stick to the original time. So he said, I replied back on email, but I didn't get a response. So I tried my best to rush to the office, and there was heavy traffic that day. But the fact of the matter is, whether you like it or not, all of us create a personal brand by our actions, the first impression, the second impression, the third impression. And it's up to us how we manage and network and make the personal brand work. And Arkadeep, in our opening conversation, you talked about how some other people are viewed in the office. And I promised to tell you about the PI. So the PI is an acronym for performance, image, and exposure. There's some research on personal branding which says that of the impression that people have of you, only 10% weightage is to performance. About 20% to the image, and as much as 70% to exposure. And let me try and explain that. Because in most organizations, all of us are there in our jobs because we're competent, we do well. So performance is a given. And because if you're underperforming, you'll be under performance management program, and other issues will be happening. So it's not about less about your personal brand, but more about performance that you need to worry about. So given that performance is sort of a given, performance is only 10% of what contributes to your personal brand. The image, and whether you like it or not, how you dress, how you speak, how you walk up and down the corridors in the office, whether you appear to be busy, energetic, all of that does make a difference in terms of the image that you convey. Do you greet people? Do you greet the receptionist when you walk into the office? Do you say hello to people? Do you look them in the eye? All of these factors make a difference in terms of the impact that you create at the workplace and on your personal brand. But the biggest is the exposure, is the kind of projects that you take up. How do you make yourself visible beyond your immediate role? And to answer Arkadeep's question, and many of you saying you like to build upon your personal brand and advance your career, you might want to think about the PI model for yourself. Think about, are you making sure your performance is a given? Second, do you know what image you portray? Have you asked this question of yourself? Have you reflected? Have you asked others in the office, your manager, your colleagues, your peers, your family? And what are you doing to improve your exposure to people who matter and the decision makers to improve your overall view? I'm going to just pause to check if there are any questions before I continue.
Kumar, is when you say image, is it all about looks, like how you're dressing, or I don't know, how your hair is, or your glasses, or is it all visual?
It's largely visual, and thank you for asking, Atsilia. And I'm going to tell you another story. I hope we have time today because we have a small audience. There was this recruitment process in Malaysia, and this happened in Malaysia, where 5 candidates applied for 500 jobs. One of them was a smart, attractive-looking Chinese woman. The second was a conservative, traditional Muslim woman with a headscarf. Third was an average-looking Indian female. The fourth was a visibly Muslim male from the way he grew a beard and conveyed himself. And the fifth was a Chinese ethnicity male. Their applications, they were actually classmates, because from their resumes, if you looked at them, all of them had studied in the same university, had got similar marks, had similar work experience. And they applied for 500 jobs on a job board. And the researchers looked at how many of them got an interview call. And guess what? All of them had stuck photographs on their resumes as well. The research showed that the smart, attractive-looking Chinese woman got the most number of interview calls. The least number of calls were for the Muslim woman with the headscarf. The second highest was for the Indian male who looked intelligent with nice glasses like I'm wearing. But guess what the story is? All of them were the same person. It was a blind test. It was the same individual whose picture had been photoshopped and sent out as a research to see if there are biases on image. The fact is that yes, whether you like it or not, image in terms of the way you look, the way you carry yourself, the way you dress, does have a big impact on your personal brand. And I put it so whether it's negatively as well, in terms of if you're sloppily dressed, if you walk into office with your shirt sloppy with stains on your clothes, people are going to, whether you like it or not, form an impression that you're not careful with your work. People form an impression on how you organize your workstation in office as well. Is it neatly arranged? What impression do you convey about your workspace? Of course, today, with all us working from home, it's about our homes that are creating impression. But in the days of office work, the way you organize your desk and walk up and down the office also makes a big difference in terms of how you're seen. Does that answer your questions today?
Yes, thank you.
So, sorry, Kumar, before you move ahead, can I, ask this question to Subha as well? We would like to know what Subha has to say about this.
About personal appearance?
Yes,
personal
yes,
appearance.
about the image that we're talking.
Yes, yeah, definitely. See, as someone mentioned, first impression is the last impression. I would like to, slightly tweak that. First impression is the best impression, right? So definitely it's not only to create any perception on others, right? Even, see, I have been working from home for the past few years, right? So whenever I dress up well, I feel good. First of all, see, I would like to take the definition also a little, deeper. Yeah, my definition of personal branding, it starts from creating authenticity in what you do, first thing, so that the decisions, whatever you make, see, the minute we wake up in the morning till the time we sleep at night, we make decisions, right? We also influence others to make certain decisions about ourselves, about the work that we do, right? And then the third is we can grow. So there are 3 keywords normally I use whenever I define what personal branding is. One is creating authenticity in what you do so that you can make the right mindful decisions so that you can grow as well, help others to grow. Yeah, I would like to explain this physical appearance part of it from here, right? It starts from being authentic, right? See, I may feel uncomfortable wearing a sleeveless. If I feel uncomfortable, let me not wear it. If I wear it and then go and attend an interview, I'm going to show that my self-confidence is low. Yeah, I would like to put it across this way. Let's start from ourselves, the way we feel comfortable, let's put on the makeup or whatever, right? The external appearance that whatever we need to showcase to others. See, that should be the first step. And then yes, audience awareness is very, very important when it comes to attending an interview or having any communication, being a part of any professional quorum. You can kind of tweak your external appearance also depending on that. See, today I'm wearing something like this, right? If I'm attending any leadership forum or anything related to, say, for example, manufacturing industry, where the leaders are going to be from the old school. Yeah, they're really, really seniors, like 40 years, 50 years. Again, depending on the the location that particular audience come from, I change my dressing style as well. I may go in a sari. Yeah, in that sari also I may be choosing something else. Sometimes I go with some cotton based, sometimes I go with little design here and there. So why do I do it? See, at this first step is like, am I feeling comfortable in wearing that sari or wearing this dress? That should be the first step, and then we can tweak it based on the audience that we are going to be a part of. Yeah, this would be, and it is very, very important, definitely. If not for others, for our sake.
Great. So I guess, according to Subha, when in Romans, do what the Romans do.
Yes, please.
Okay, back to Kumar. Kumar.
Thanks, Subha. And I think that was very clear and crystal clear. And thank you for your authenticity in that as well. And I think I just want to pick on that. Being absolutely authentic in terms of projecting yourself is important. Because if you try and pretend to be something that you're not, it'll be visible to anybody who's reasonably alert and agile. And an example I often use is that if you're a toothpaste, you're a toothpaste, you're not a face cream. And what do I mean by that? If you're a toothpaste, you can't pretend to be a face cream. You don't want to apply it on your face to clear scars and discoloration. But if you're a toothpaste, you could be different types of toothpastes as well. You could be a Colgate, which is traditional, and where cleaning is the first biggest function. You could be a close-up, which provides fresh breath. You could be a Sensodyne, which is for sensitive gums and teeth. But whatever it is, all the versions of the toothpaste are inbuilt in each one of them, because Sensodyne also cleans, it also provides fresh breath. Close-up also cleans, it also has bacterial protection, and similarly Colgate does the same. So ultimately, the function of all these toothpastes is the same. There's a dialing up of one feature or one ingredient to make it more relevant to the audience. So maybe the Sensodyne is for, like Shubha said, for the older generation who are starting to have gum problems. Maybe the fresh breath close-up is for the younger generation who probably are getting into more close encounters from time to time and would prefer that. So if you're a toothpaste, recognize what you are, be authentic, and identify that. So I just use the toothpaste as an example, but if you think about yourself as a human being as well, it's important to be authentic and project what you are and tailor that message to the audience. And how do you know if you're getting that message across? So I'm going to turn it back to the audience. What are some of the things that you can do to understand what your personal brand is today? And then we're going to talk about practice in terms of how you can make a pitch. But first and foremost, how can you get feedback about what your personal brand is today? What can you do? That's actually a very simple answer.
To ask.
Absolutely, ask. And ask who all?
Colleagues, friends, family. Ask the ones close to you or the audience you're trying to set your brand to.
Right. And what would you ask them? What would be some questions you could ask to get feedback, to get specific feedback?
I think either a general, how do you see me, or be specific, I don't know, top 3 things you admire and top 3 things you dislike or like less about me. I think I would go to the extreme ones.
Great response, Ida. Absolutely. So you can ask, what are the top 3 things? Where do I come across as strong at? What do you consider to be my weakness or deficiency? What are the top 3 things that I portray well? And what would you like to see more of from me? Are some questions. And how can you get such feedback? What tools and methods can you use? One is, of course, to ask to have informal conversations. What else could you do? Come on, speak up, everybody else. Work on your personal brand in the session as well.
Come on, guys, you get more when you ask more, when you know, nobody's judging you here. We're all at the same place. You know, we're here to learn, me included.
Kumar,
So,
I
Kumar,
have a
let's-
question
yeah.
over here. I have a question. I understand that you are telling people to, ask your peers or your seniors that how do you feel about me or something like this. So, so doesn't it feel a little bit needy? Like you are asking for it. It feels like if somebody asks me that how do you feel about me, you like me, right? Something like this. I feel that that person is asking for my validation. Like, how does it matter? Like. It shouldn't matter, right? If I can't make everybody happy, not everyone will be happy. I'm not ice cream. So some people will still hate me, like or not like me that much. So just going up to somebody and asking them, do you like me, or what are the top 3 things about me, doesn't it seem a little bit needy or desperate, something like this?
So what do the others think? Let's hear from the rest of the audience.
I think when we are seeking feedback, we should reach out to the people whom we trust or with whom we have a close connection, whose words matter to us. So we are sure that we will get authentic feedback.
So do you think it's needy to ask for feedback, Ritesh?
No, not the feedback. I mean, when we discussed a few minutes back that we need to ask for the personal branding or question about ourselves. So I'm just responding to what Arpreet said, that we are looking for validation. But when we know that the person whom we are reaching out is going to be fair enough with us and his feedback will be authentic, it will generate a sense of confidence in us that okay, I'm going to get honest feedback on that.
Like if I had to ask my boss about feedback, if I had to ask him about a report I made or something about a situation at work, then it is fine. But if I had to ask him how do you like me as a person, it's kind of a little bit embarrassing, right? I don't know if everybody feels that way, but isn't it a little bit embarrassing?
So can I come in, Kumar? I think it's a culture that one has to imbibe, and the organization I come from, it talks a lot about his self-confidence as well. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's completely about validating. It's about seeking the right kind of feedback to make you a better person. And it's happened with me throughout the years, and it's having that confidence, and there's a lot of branding in that. There's a lot of personal self-esteem involved in that as well. So we have to tread the line carefully. But I think if you're confident from within, you're not seeking validation. What you're doing is you're just making yourself a better version of you. And I don't think there's anything wrong in that. I've done that consistently. For me, feedback is a gift, and that's what I've completely believed in. And in all these 2 decades now, also, Kumar, of working. So yeah, that's where I am.
Brilliant, Ananya. And I love that phrase that feedback is a gift. And I truly believe that as well. And I just wanted to add, and just in the interest of time, to make sure that we cover a few more points as a panel as well. Just wanted to add another point, that the mere action of seeking feedback is also adding to your personal brand. Because what does it convey about you is that you're interested in your growth and development, and you're open to feedback. So just think about that. And I just want to add one more point in terms of one other person that you could ask, or one other channel that you have to get feedback about yourself is called the mirror. Is to look at yourself in the mirror and ask yourself with confidence, because the truth really lies within, in terms of what am I good at? What do I enjoy doing? What am I getting paid for doing? What do I love doing? And where does all this come together is in terms of your personal purpose. So discovering yourself as well is an outcome of focusing on your personal brand.
Great. So can I pose a question here, Kumar? So I think based on what Arkadeep has said and what everyone else has said, would there be a particular way of phrasing your questions so that you do not feel that you are coming across as somebody who's desperate, rather coming across as somebody who is genuinely interested in progressing and who is asking for authentic feedback so that they can get better at their game? Would there be would there be a specific time, like, there are times when there are performance appraisals in organizations? Would that be a good time to kind of ask your manager or your seniors to give feedback so that you can do better?
So great point, Sangeeta, and I completely agree with you. An appraisal conversation with your manager is understood, is straightforward. Asking for feedback is part of the process. Receiving that feedback is part of the process. But there are other tools that you could use if you're interested, like a 360-degree feedback survey or a 180-degree feedback survey, depending on how you structure it. So you could use a formal survey. And what I've often encouraged with my teams as well in the past is that they seek feedback from client groups that they work with, or customers, or people, teams that they work with, in terms of formal written feedback. And what you find is that what my team members have come back and said is that the mere act of asking for feedback from people that you work with, from client groups or customer groups, it actually improves the relationship as well, because they see you as being genuinely interested in the relationship and wanting to commit to make a better partnership as well. So, but the question that we could ask is not so much about, do you like me as a person? It's not about inviting the person for a drink or dinner or to watch a movie together. It's about, what are my personal attributes or professional attributes that you think resonate well with the work that I'm doing? Which are the ones that I'm seen to have a strength in? Which are the areas that I have a weakness in that need to be developed in order to improve further? And what are the channels that you can offer me to help me grow and develop in these areas? So those are some of the specific questions that you could ask.
Fabulous. Thanks for that. So,
And
Arkadeep,
also-
does that answer your question? Sorry, Ananya.
Sangeeta.
Yeah, Subha.
Yeah. See, art of questioning. Yeah. So this is one skill. Whatever level one person is in, they should definitely develop. Yeah. Because nobody has time to sit and then brainstorm on how others should grow. Right. So we have to take responsibility here. Normally, in fact, art of questioning and then addressing this 360-degree feedback and all, this becomes a goal in my coaching sessions as well. People approach me to discuss on that, right? So how exactly I approach such clients is like, we create a strategy. Yeah, you can create a strategy depending on all the stakeholders involved in your growth. You have to create those questions for each and every stakeholder involved there. So, this should be a part of this creating feedback strategy, should be a part of your career growth or business growth strategy. This is very, very critical. As Kumar beautifully mentioned, how you are articulating. It need not be, calling them out for a coffee or, let's discuss over a dinner or, it need not be that, right? So you can fix time with the different stakeholders, but before that, do your homework well. Why exactly you make somebody undergo this process for your growth? See, this is where we are talking about our growth here, right? So you're asking somebody to invest their time and effort in your growth. For that, you have to spend your time and effort in doing that homework, create a proper strategy, list down the questions. In fact, we sit and then write down all the questions. We have that where, how, why, what, when. Then we create questions on, using all these words. That will help you to go deeper. So here introspection is very, very important. So why do you want to undergo yourself as well, make others undergo this process? And then create separate questions for, different individuals, stakeholders. This is very critical.
Great. Thanks for that, Subha.
Thank you.
So, Kumar, are we moving ahead with some activity for them, or?
Yeah, do you want to hand it over to Shubha? I'm just conscious of the time as well, in terms of it. I think Shubha, you had an activity.
Sure, definitely. So I think let me just take you all through an activity. Yeah. Hope you all have your pen and pencil or your notepad open. Let me quickly share my screen. Okay, Sangeeta, I think I need to have host access.
Okay, just.
Yeah.
And while you're doing that, absolutely, Ananya and Celia, the feedback that in the chat that you typed, being authentic and not just continuous feedback is important, building that through. And sometimes the best feedback is in the moment, not saying that 8 months ago when you made this presentation, I didn't like what you presented. Giving feedback timely is really important.
Thank you, certificate.
Okay, so there you go.
Oh, there's a certificate.
Yeah, sure.
But I had got a message.
So can I request all the audience members to please be on mute when you're not talking?
Okay. See, now I have 3-4 questions here. I would like you all to score yourself. Just be honest. You're not going to share the the final score with any of us here. It's for you, for your awareness. Yeah. Initially, when Sangeeta opened up that poll, you all had given different answers to that. Couple of you are you do not have an awareness on personal branding. Couple of you had certain awareness is there, but you really want to understand how and where things should move. Yeah. So you are going to give 3 different answers here. If the answer is yes and always, you are going to give yourself 3. If it is sometimes, you're going to give yourself 2. Always a struggle, you're going to give yourself 1. Yeah. Let me ask you the first question. Do you achieve results as you wish? You can, if you want, you please note down this question also, or feel free to take the screenshot, whichever way you feel comfortable. If you are achieving results as you wish, always give yourself 3, sometimes 2, but it's always a struggle 1 point. Yeah. Okay, do you have right clarity on your next big growth level? It could, I think 1 or 2 of you from the business background, you're working towards building your new business or growing your existing business. You can keep that business goal in mind. Those who are from the corporate sector, you can keep your next role in mind. Do you have right clarity on your next big growth level? If anyone wants me to repeat the question, I can, otherwise I'll move on. Yeah. Are you recognized as a leader in the industry you belong to? Even though my question is, here, industry, I think Argadeep, you have around 7+ years of experience. Depending on the experience level, you can answer. If you're really in the initial stage, you can consider this as an organization. Yeah. Are you recognized as a leader in the organization that you belong to? Or at least in your team. It could be industry, organization, or in your team. One quick clarification here. Leader, this word doesn't mean that you have to lead a team. Yeah, I believe that every individual, each one of us are leaders in our own way. Do others see you as a leader? In the industry, in the organization, and in your team? You can choose either one. Give yourself 3 if it is always, 2 if it is sometimes, 1 if it is always a struggle. Do you establish your complete potential in your organization, in the role that you are doing? Here, I'm specifically mentioning about do, not can, because if I put can, then external factors come in. So that's the reason I'm asking you, do you establish your complete potential in your organization? Give yourself 3, 2, or 1. One more question. 1 second. Yes. Are you known as an expert in your social media circle? See, it can be anything. It can be only LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram, whichever channel that, where you are really, spending a lot of time or sharing a lot of content, wherever you are popular, or all the three. Are you known as an expert in whatever you do in your social media circle? Give yourself 3 if it is always, 2 if it is sometimes, 1 if it is a struggle. Yeah. So hope you all remember the question. If anybody needs any, me to take you through the other questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and let me know. Yeah. So now I would like you all to, add all the points that you have given you to yourself. Just note down the total that you have scored. You need not share, keep it with you. Just be honest in scoring yourself. That's more important. Be authentic. Yeah, all done? Can I have some hands up, thumbs up, something? Okay, great. Okay, shall I go ahead and then share the scorecard, and then what does it mean?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah. So if you have got between 12 to 15, see, I have only 5 questions. It's like it's a part of some 25-30 questions which I normally share it with my clients to save our time as well, to understand where we are today. I have picked only these 5 critical questions. So if your score is between 12 to 15, be proud of yourself. Your personal branding quotient is really high. It's imperative to consciously use it to your advantage. The perception you have created with this score must help you to grab that promotion very soon, or achieve that goal that you have in your mind very soon. If you feel like you have created the brand, you have created the right impression that you want to create, but still you're not. It could be your financial goal, it could be your professional goal, personal goal. If you feel like you are not reaching it amidst having high personal branding quotient, then you have to really consciously use it to your advantage. Just check whether you're authentic. Assess the decisions, whatever you are making, it's mindful, and then assess why the success is not happening consequently, sustainably. Yeah. So time to introspect and explore possibilities. Here, what I would like to mention is personal branding is not a one-time, exercise. It is like, we have to continuously do this. It should be a part of our lifestyle. So this is one exercise where you can do it for yourself, and then assess your personal branding quotient whenever you need. It could be every 3 months, quarterly, or it could be every 6 months or every year. That you can decide. The timeline you can decide. So be highly attentive to the, okay, so this is part of my coaching session. Yeah. If your score is 8 to 11, still be proud of yourself. Your personal branding quotient is good, but not really great. Little more clarity will help in assessing your strengths and see how you can make the best use of it. Out of my 5 questions, it could be that you are not really popular in on social media, right? That could be one of the reasons where your score has come down from the great level. You can work on it. See, that's the reason I said, please note down the questions also, so that you will know where the score is low, where it is high, so that you can work on it and then bring in the balance. Yeah. Is it the strength or the areas of improvement? What should you prioritize? This is the question that I would like you to ask yourself. Time to introspect and delve deeper. Where exactly you should prioritize, where exactly you should bring in better focus. Yeah, so that you can make it great. Then the next, third level, 4 to 7. if you have scored somewhere between 4 to 7, you definitely need to work on, you have to prioritize building your brand before working on your promotion or any other goals that you may be having. I would highly recommend you create a map. You can create a mind map and see where exactly you stand. So time to look at your performance. So it's not only what Arkadev mentioned earlier, right? You may be performing really well. Look at it. Are you really, setting the expectation right? As well, is your performance and meets the expectation of your organization? Yeah, see, that could be one of the reason. Look at it. If you feel like your performance is meeting the expectation, then it's time to do beyond. Yeah, and then work towards building the brand among others. Yeah, perception gap, assess the perception gap, and then address it. Do you take up beyond your core responsibilities? See, this is one area where people go wrong. They think that, okay, as long as I tick mark all the responsibilities that are associated with my role, I will get my promotion. No, it doesn't happen. In the initial when we started this discussion today, we also mentioned about, it's not only about what you do or what you know, it is also about who you know. That's very important. That is one quote that I would like all of you to remember. And then the second quote is, what brings you here may not take you ahead. Yeah, so please be aware of these two. Take up more responsibilities, which will help you to grow as you wish. Yeah, please look on that. Is it internal? Is it internal dialogue? See, internal dialogue is something that I would like all of you to grasp. Is it the internal dialogue which you are having with yourself that is stopping you from doing something towards personal branding, or is it external? Please do some assessment. So time to introspect and work on immediately. This score, you have to be extremely careful. Yeah, so take it seriously, work towards it. If your score is 3, there is no 0 here, because everybody has a brand. Yeah, awareness is where the difference will be. So I would never give 0 for anybody. You all are creating a brand every minute, every second. Whether you believe it or not, yeah, whether you agree to this or not, it is the truth. Yeah, you all are creating a brand. So if it is 3, we have to go a little in depth and see what is working, what is not working. Wait, just don't be hard on yourself, because you're all here to learn this, right? You're all here to create an awareness and see and learn how you can make the best use of it. So first step should be, just don't be hard on yourself. Time to take internal or external professional support. Yeah, you can approach Mr. Kumar or me if you need help, or in your organization, if you have somebody who can help you, please go ahead and then take that help. That will help you to fast track your personal branding journey. So this is what I have. As far as the activity is concerned, any questions here?
I think there is one question from Ananya in the chat.
Okay.
I think either of you could take it, please.
Something that's making me think we don't have the luxury of time with this, and we have a small window to create the impression. Some actions we can be mindful of, especially as we get more experienced in the org, and the performance behind you speaks already. Great. This is a great question, Ananya. See, let me quickly recap what you have said. Yeah, it's like you are already there in some position where you are seen as already a top performer or the high performing candidate, and you also seem to have little time where you can take some action to create that brand. Is that your question? How to address that?
Yeah, I know you may not have like a lot of time to really continue, make that impression and keep moving on. Especially today when things are so agile and so, in this VUCA world, as we keep calling it. So how do you really make time count, and how do you make those moments that matter?
Yes, definitely. See, there are 2 perspectives I would like to bring here. Yeah, awareness is the joining and the bridge between these 2. One is clarity on where exactly you want to move ahead. Yeah, what is the role, or what is the promotion, or what sort of role that you want to move ahead. For that role, what is the impression that you want to create? Again, it should be authentic. See, for example, in telecom industry, yeah, a leader should be as aggressive as possible when it comes to his performance as well, making his teams work, because that industry is really aggressive. See, every day we see that new updates are coming up when it comes to having a mobile, right? You just look at your mobile. Every once in a while, you have some updates happening, right? A CEO or the leader who is managing that particular organization, he needs to be aggressive, right? So that he can run the organization well. Similarly, there are other organizations where servant leadership is very important. Yeah, there are organizations where transformational leadership is very important. See, leadership itself has different styles. Like that, the position that you are targeting, what exactly you need to, what is the perception that you need to create? To create that perception, what are all the strengths that you do have? That assessment, that awareness is very, very important. You need not become like somebody else, right? But how can you showcase your strengths well? So then the next question is awareness on the stakeholders. Do you have vendor communication, Ananya, in your role? Do you collaborate with vendors? No.
Not too much.
Not too much. Okay. So who are all the external stakeholders involved in your role?
So it's mostly internal stakeholders.
Internal. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Great. So who are all those people?
Business leads, team leads, the functional leads globally.
Okay.
In the new role. Yeah.
Okay. Great. See, you brought in the global one particular word, right? And I would like to quickly mention a couple of skills that you should be having, and then mindfully applying those skills. See, one is cultural intelligence. A couple of intelligence, normally I bring it on the table. Cultural intelligence, because when you say you are globally, you are working with global stakeholders, you should know different cultures people belong to. Yeah, understanding those culture and then addressing. Right? It could be, even the small talks can make a big difference. You need not, allocate some time to create this brand. All the communication that you make, it could be one-on-one communication or your email. Yeah. See, a good example that we can pick from Kumar's example that he mentioned. The person why he, drove that, what was the reason behind that guy driving that rashly, right? Because HR sent out a message just on that day where he had time crunch. So he had to rush. So if you look at the way Kumar handled that, right? He didn't just blindly, even though he mentioned the word bias, right? He didn't, allowed that bias to come in the way of making decision, but he went back and then checked the email, agreed that yes, that email was sent on the same day, right? He addressed that. See, that is where all the changes happen. You need not create, allocate some time here. Every decision that you make, just ensure that you have all the stakeholders in mind, or the stakeholder who is involved in that particular activity. So communication here becomes very important. Are you empathetic enough? Right? See, Kumar, just like that, he would have said no and then send that candidate back, right? Why was he having that conversation? Even though that person, he didn't get that job, but Kumar had built that brand in his mind. That is a beautiful example that we can use all through our discussion, right? Likewise, you may be having that pressure in your mind, but still, what is your emotional quotient? Yeah, emotional intelligence makes a huge, huge impact here. So all these intelligences, another word I would like to mention here is contextual intelligence. How aware you are as far as that context is concerned. When it comes to interacting with different stakeholders, right? You have different context in place. How aware you are, how well aware you are when it comes to that context, so that you can build that communication around that context. Yeah. So all these things come in place once you are mindful of all these intelligences and all other skills that you are supposed to have as a part of your role. You're going to build your brand, keep elevating your brand by default. That is going to become a habit. That is going to become a part of your life. You need not allocate any specific time for that. Awareness is very, very important. Stakeholder awareness and then the skill awareness. what all the intelligences that you must acquire.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shobha and Ananya. And thanks a lot for this, especially the brand quotient. I'm sure it will help all of you to, go back home, look back, consider what's going wrong, how you can go ahead from there. I'd like to ask Kumar at this point. I know we have run over time, but if all of you have about 10 or 15 minutes more, you could end up getting a good chunk of something important for the day. Kumar, I think one of the main things, that we all do these days is our positioning on LinkedIn or our positioning on social media, especially for professionals. It's LinkedIn that matters. And we see that there are so many people who put in engaging content and, they're recognized as LinkedIn top voices. So what is it? Is there like a formula to, create that elevator pitch and make sure that people understand you the right way, and you have your personal branding the way you want people to perceive? Like, could you help us with like some tips on how they can go about doing it?
Thanks, Sangeeta. So let me try and address that, because it's quite a big subject by itself. But I think it goes down to a lot of the things that we said first, is that prepare what you want to say and communicate. So like Shubha mentioned, make a stakeholder map, do some personal reflection, identify your values, what are your strengths are, what are your weaknesses. Put it on a document and try and write what we call an elevator pitch. And I'll explain a little bit why it's called an elevator pitch. It originates from Hollywood, actually. That there were people who were pitching a story that they wanted a producer to pick up and create it into a movie. The only opportunity they got was at the lift in Hollywood studios. So they would barge into the lift with the producer, and they get maybe 30 seconds, 60 seconds before the elevator reaches their floor to make a pitch for a story. And if it catches the interest of the producer, it had its foot in the door to make progress. And so to pick up what Ananya also talked about, the luxury of time is something that we don't have, and particularly busy decision makers don't have too much time. So one of the top tips I would give you is to actually spend some time in reflection, identify your values, identify your stakeholders, identify your strengths, identify your weaknesses, put it on a piece of paper, and then write a story in terms of who you are and what you bring to the table, and leave it with an interesting hook. So don't try and give everybody your entire history and background of 20, 30 years of history, or 15 years of history, and your family history. Because what you really want to do is create a pitch that gets your foot in the door, that allows you to make an impression and respond and be relevant to the audience that you're wanting to make an impression on. So if you look at your audience, there are people who know you well, who maybe have already formed an impression. That's an audience that you can get feedback from in terms of how you come across in terms of your personal brand today, and what you need to do to strengthen that and improve it and to make a difference. But there are people like Ananya mentioned who are global leaders who may not know you too well. Here you have an opportunity to make an elevator pitch, and there's a tool that we use in a lot of companies, and I'm sure Ananya is familiar with that as well, called Self-Advocacy. In 1 minute, if you had to create a compelling proposition to tell the story of who you are and what you stand for, write that down as a speech, practice it in front of the mirror, practice it with friends, and see if you're making an impression in terms of what you stand for, what you're good at, and what you can offer the person. Most importantly, what you can offer. So it doesn't, a great elevator pitch ends with an opportunity for a longer discussion where you can present yourself. And today, in the virtual world where we hardly meet each other in person, your social media chain, particularly LinkedIn in a professional network, Facebook and Twitter in both professional and personal networks, make a big difference. Organizations today do look at your social media imprint. So what are your connections? What do you post on LinkedIn? What do you say in your about section? Have you used every bit of the banner, for instance, in terms of what you stand for? So if you go to my LinkedIn profile, I've been recently thinking a lot about purpose as an organization. So I've created a banner which talks about a model on purpose. And who are you following? Which companies and individuals do you follow? What do you share on your network? So do you share happy birthday most often and responding to others' messages? Or do you demonstrate thought leadership in terms of thinking through what you're currently thinking on? So all of us are in important roles, whether in business or in organizations. So learn to try and experiment articulating your thinking on current subjects. So today, leadership in a virtual world or in a VUCA world, like some of you mentioned, is important. So what are your thoughts today? How you change your leadership style? What are you doing differently today in terms of writing that, making an impression? Post on LinkedIn and target one post at least every 2 weeks to start with. And then you can increase it further. But again, don't overpost. So don't try and post 5 messages a day. There'll be an overload. People will miss what you're trying to say. Think of an impactful message that you'd like to make. And a good place on LinkedIn to use that is the About section on LinkedIn. How many of you have used that and have a simple summary of what you bring to the table? That if you can spend 1 minute reading that, maybe you'd get an interview call even before the rest of your resume is read. That's some of the top tips that I'd share. But happy if any of you would like to connect with me and ask for more tips, you can do that at another time as well.
Great, thanks. That was super. I'd now like to check with the audience if you have any more questions for both our speakers today.
Sangeeta, if I may, on the LinkedIn, right?
Yeah, please.
See, LinkedIn is it's one of the platform which has been helping me to grow. That is one, right? I would like to quickly mention something happened with one of my clients. Yeah, see, she is working for a global organization again, right? She was recommended for the promotion, where the approval should come from the people sitting in the USA, right? So immediately they looked at her LinkedIn profile, the person who was supposed to approve, but he didn't see anything on her. There is a photograph, there is her name, and then some information written over there, right? So nothing, much about her. So he, in fact, asked, return the, whatever the process, right? That back, and then said that, see, this has been put as a comment. Like, I don't see anything there on her LinkedIn profile. See, why do they need that? See, LinkedIn profile is not only for building a brand for ourselves, also to create a brand for the organization that we work for. Yeah, so that's going to help a lot in connecting with, not only connecting with people, also to build the brand for you, so elevating your brand quotient as well, right? See, LinkedIn is is a beautiful platform. I would highly recommend all of you to understand in depth and then make the best use of it. The first step what we can do is, let's connect with all of us here in this in this discussion today, right? We don't know. I may have used to any of you here, or you may be helping me in some way or another, right? So that should be the first step. Another, that is this establishing thought leadership. That's a beautiful share from Kumar. I would like to add more there. Disagreeing gracefully will elevate your brand. Yeah, because everybody is scared of using LinkedIn or any social media because they have some thoughts which is not agreeing with the original author, but they are scared of putting it across. You know what? But once you learn how to put that across in that platform, you are going to elevate your brand like anything. Yeah, because see, that is going to strengthen the relationship between you and the author, right? So that is one way. And easier way to build a brand on LinkedIn, if you're kind of skeptical in the initial days to post something on your own, is commenting. Just by commenting on others' posts, you can build the right network. Again, as Kumar said, it should not be just wishing them happy birthday, congratulating somebody. For example, when Sangeeta posts about this particular session, don't just stop with like, yeah, just write about, okay, see, these are all the things that I took it away. Yeah, or you share your perspective. We may not have time to share all your perspective right here, but share your perspective. What is your thought process? If you have something more to add, do it over there. See, you will see a huge difference in the way number of people or the the background of people who are going to connect with you after putting that comment. You just try it out and then see it for yourself. That is one strong recommendation that I do have. Connect with all in this group. And then second is, put comments in whichever post which is resonating with your thought process. Yeah. So these two are, I highly recommend.
Great. So lovely points there, Subha. I think we have more or less covered what we had aimed for, probably more than what we had aimed for today. And a big thank you to the audience for staying put, staying as interested, taking down notes and asking questions. This is exactly how we wanted the session to go. So just to, sum it up, what is your personal brand? Are we ready to take that quiz that we took in the beginning? And I would like to see if there is any change in the percentage about the brand awareness. Are we ready?
Let's go for it, Sangeeta. Let's see what the audience.
Okay. Okay, Shubha, can you please make me the host again?
Yes. Let me do that.
Thanks.
Yes, done.
All right, great. So let me go back. And do we still have the link in the chat box, or do I need to put it back? So I'll say present. Okay. So does that mean everyone is now in the 7 to 10? Okay, so there are some who are, I hope that you've gone from 0 to 3 to 4 to 6. Okay, so this is much better than how we started. Great. All right, so I'd like to just conclude by saying that personal branding is the intersection between who we think we are and what others think of us. It's the impression that others have of us. And we spoke of a lot of different things, and Kumar brought out, the pie model that, speaks of it's your performance, which is just 10%, which is a given. Then the 20% is your image, which is a large part of is your physicality, how you present yourselves to people, because people just take a few seconds to kind of scan you and think, yes, I'm going to make friends with her. No, I'm not going to make friends with her, or whatever. And the rest of the 70% goes with, your values, your authenticity, how you work. It is who you know versus what you know, what kind of projects you're doing. And then, we have our personal branding, not just in front of real people, it's also there on social media. And looks like the corporates are also taking a dig into it, because when they want to promote you and you're in a global setup, which is most likely true, they look for your corporate profile and what is it you've been doing. And then Shubha very generously took us through the branding quotient, and she gave us a big count about where we stand right now. So it is a lot of introspection that we need to do. Stand in front of the mirrors unbiased and bring out something that we call ourselves. So we ended with Kumar telling us about the elevator pitch, telling us why it is called the elevator pitch in the first place, which was a very interesting story. And according to him, according to both our speakers, it is so much about reflecting, who are we? What are we here for? What do we have to offer to the others? That seems like the most important thing. So each time you write something, like, you put your bio on your social media handles, be it LinkedIn, Facebook, Insta, YouTube, whatever it is that is your bread and butter. Make sure that the person who's reading it can get you or gauge you in about 30 to 60 seconds max. And what do they need to know? Who are you and what is it that you bring to the table? And put it in such a way that you do not give out the entire history, but it is just a hook to get your foot into the door. And that's how you will, bring about what people perceive about you and what is it that you really want them to think of you. And like Shubha mentioned, connect more. Like Kumar mentioned, it's what you do on your social profile. Are you bringing out thought leadership there? Or are you merely liking and disliking people's posts, or just saying happy birthdays and happy anniversaries? So that is what helps you to stand out from the others. So I guess it has been infinite learning for me. I hope it has been the same for you. I would like to say a big thank you to all of you in the audience, and especially to Kumar and Shubha, who have helped all of us probably ignite that spark of, yes, I need to do something about my personal branding. So I hope, like Shubha said, when I put out a post about today's session, you guys can feel free to add your comments, to add your inputs, and let's see where it takes us all. Yeah. Can we have one group photograph? Could all of you just turn on your cameras? All right, Ritesh and Divya, could we see you as well? All right, so 1, 2, 3. Let me see how this one is. Okay, let's have one more. 1, 2, 3. All right, thanks a lot. Any last words from anybody else before we end the meeting?
Just a big thank you to all of you for the insights and for the other participants that help with the questions and other opinions. So just thank you.
Thanks a lot, Celia. All right, thanks everyone, and have a good night, have a good week ahead, and we hope that this session helps you to empower your personal branding further from wherever you are. Thanks a lot. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sangeeta.
Thank you. Thank you.